Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 28th of March 2024, and these are the stories that we'll try to understand and decipher during the course of the show. We'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, with the Indian Narendra Modi's government and the suppression of Indian opposition that has been going on since quite some time now. Nearly a billion Indians are going to vote to elect a new government in a 6-week-long parliamentary election that begins on the 19th of April, that is in just in a couple of weeks, which is one of the biggest exercises in the world. This said, we are seeing a lot of examples of how the current Narendra Modi's BJP government is trying all its tactics to coerce the opposition in not to properly take part in these election processes, and then also to arrest those who it deems are a threat to it. A lot of examples come to mind, and that is why Germany and the US both have, in official statements, asked that a fair, transparent and timely legal process be implemented as far as the arrests of the opposition leaders are concerned, like Arvind Kejriwal and so many other state ministers that are now behind bars. And of course, India, as usual, has said that it does not like meddling, other people meddling in its internal affairs. But we see a lot of tactics that are being used by the current government in order to retain its power in India. We will discuss different aspects of it in our first segment. Our second story concerns day 174 of the conflict between Israel and Palestine as it goes on, and 32,490 Palestinians killed while 74,889 have been wounded, despite the fact that a United Nations Security Council resolution has been implemented that asks for a complete ceasefire, at least in the holy month of Ramadan. There seems to be no headway as far as the ceasefire is concerned. The number of casualties continue on increasing, the number of people who are subject to barbarism continues, and also the lack of supplies like health facilities or food and water are also resulting in the deaths of people due to dehydration and starvation. This and more will be discussed in our second story. We will then be talking about the earth rotation that is speeding up, and of course all the organizations that are behind the timing of every single second are reconsidering on to how they need to move forward as far as this whole process is concerned, whether they need to decrease a couple of seconds or increase or let it remain at the same level. These are questions that maybe not perturb us, but to scientists and other community, this is a very important decision that needs to be taken, and let's see what happens as far as this is concerned. Also, Japan's unmanned moon lander has finally woken up. We all remember the American lander Odysseus, the first private spaceship to successfully land on the moon, had failed to wake up, and the whole mission was considered as ended. But this time the Japanese lander has woken up, and now the first pictures have also come from the Japanese agency, and of course this seems to be a thing and going in the right direction as far as Japan's intrusion or Japan's experiments on the moon are concerned. Let's come with the first segment, first story, and that concerns India, and of course how the Narendra Modi's BJP government is trying all the tactics in its what it can do in order to not only coerce the opposition but also prevent them from taking part in the electoral process. We have had different statements coming from the Americans and the Germans, and of course those have been negated by the Indian side. To discuss more and so many other aspects concerning this, we have been joined by two guests, one in the studios and one online. In the studios, we have been joined by Naveed Aman Khan Saab. He is a foreign affairs expert. Thank you very much, Naveed Saab, to have joined us. And in the studios, we have been joined by Dr. Farah Naz. She also is a foreign affairs expert. Farah, thank you very much to have joined us as well. Let's begin with Naveed Saab. Naveed Saab, India strongly objects to remarks made by United States on the arrest of the key opposition leader and the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal a month before the national election. And of course, they say that he was arrested because of financial irregularity and corruption. And his party AAP denies the allegation, says it is a fabricated case. The US State Department spokesperson says it was closely following reports of Kejriwal's arrest, and they said that they encourage a fair, transparent and timely legal process for the Chief Minister. But as a result, the acting US Deputy Chief of Mission in New Delhi was summoned in Wednesday and of course said as to not to interfere in Indian internal affairs. Is the arrest and the criticism by the US, in your point of view, justified?
It's okay. The acts of Narendra Modi just before the national level parliamentary elections are not justified. Arvind Kejriwal is the most popular politician in India, and he has become a role model as a politician in India. He has performed and he has delivered in New Delhi as Chief Minister of New Delhi. Modi is afraid of his popularity. He knows that he is very popular and he can give very tough time to Modi. In other states also, Modi has shown his the same sort of attitude towards different politicians in different states. All this is broadly condemned and discouraged. And the Europe, America, Germany and the other countries of the Europe has very clearly and categorically condemned this attitude of Mr. Modi against the arrest of Kejriwal and other politicians.
All right.
Modi is an extremist in his attitude as a politician, but his extremism has crossed the limits of fascism. He has become a fascist leader, though he has been successful twice in consecutive terms in past. But now though he is again a favorite in these elections, but he is afraid of not having that clean sweep in the country. He wants to have clean sweep, but he cannot have. Those who are arrested will gain more sympathy and popularity in the elections. A couple of weeks are away, and Modi will have more tough time if he doesn't release them.
That is true. The US is not the only side, Naveed Saab, to have had criticized the way this whole maneuvering is being done by the Indians. The Germans also, the spokesperson for Germany's Foreign Office, Sebastian Fischer, also at a news conference last Friday, said that anyone else facing accusations, Kejriwal was entitled to a fair and impartial trial. We assume and expect, he said, that the standards related to the independence of judiciary and basic democratic principles will also be applied in this case. As a result, also the New Delhi summoned the German embassy's deputy chief of mission and conveyed India's strong protest at the remarks. They say, I quote, "We see such remarks as interfering in our judicial process and undermining the independence of the judiciary. Biased assumptions made on this account are most unwarranted." Do you feel that the German accusations on the way the Arvind Kejriwal accusations have been going on and the process has continued, are these assumptions by the Germans biased?
No, these are not biased. This is based on fact. And the fact which is revealed by the Germans and the Americans regarding the attitude of Indian Prime Minister Mr. Modi are totally based on facts and the realities. The way Modi is portraying his stature or his his level of politics in India is has very strong question mark on it. Though Indian politics has always been polarized, but Modi has added to that polarization and that hatred, more hatred towards that polarized politics in India. Kejriwal, in fact, he has targeted Kejriwal because Kejriwal has been very popular, and because of that popularity, he feels that he will be having setback from Kejriwal's open conversing or going in the masses. But all because of all these tactics, Modi will also be having that backlash of the arrest of Kejriwal in particular.
All right. Dr. Farah Naz also joins us online. Farah, thank you very much to have joined us. Farah, the Indian Financial Investigation Agency, that is the Enforcement Directorate that arrested Arvind Kejriwal, has also launched probes in at least 4 other state chief ministers or their family members, all are Modi's political opponents. The entire top leadership of the political party AAP is in jail as we speak, including Kejriwal's deputy Manish Sirsodia. In February, Jharkhand's state chief minister Hemant Soren was also arrested and jailed on corruption charges. The government and Modi's BJP deny any political interference in the cases involving their opponents. But in your point of view, is this a deliberate attempt?
What actually is happening on the ground is whatever Prime Minister Modi is doing, is it justified or not? So based on that, if we look into the current situation, Prime Minister Modi, he's set to win the next election that is going to happen very soon. And this is not the first time that opposition leaders, they are put in jail, and they all are facing lots of problems. Since 2014, when the BJP under Modi got into power, around 150 political leaders from the opposition sides, they have been tortured, they have been bullied, they have been arrested on various charges, and this kind of mantra is going on. We can see if it justifies whatever is happening in India, of course it is. And whatever Minister Modi is doing under BJP leadership and in BJP political position, I think this is completely unacceptable. And we can see it has rekindled India's democratic backslide as well, where India is not a country where BJP is living. It's a country where 1.44 billion people are living. There are around like 780 languages spoken, which makes it one of the second largest country where such kind of highest number of languages are spoken. There are around 2,000 ethnic groups over there. There are various religions prevailing. So based on all of these divisions, Prime Minister Modi has to have a big heart, because it's a country for the people, and as we say, democracy is by the people, for the people, and of the people. But whatever Modi is doing, it does not represent that Modi is having a government by the people, for the people, and of the people. It looks like it is a Zionist kind of mindset, a fascist kind of mindset under Prime Minister Modi, who is taking the lead and putting people in jail, whom he finds something like they probably are. He considered them as a threat to his leadership and his political position. So everything that is happening in India at the moment, it's not acceptable. It does not suit the democratic position of India, where at one side it believes and claims that India is an emerging global power, where it is home to so many developments and prosperity. On the other side, it is so fearful that it is putting all the political leadership in the jail. So what kind of democracy are they living in? Is Prime Minister Modi scared of something, or he is kind of into the politics of revenge for now, where he can see that he is going to win the next election, so why not put everybody in the jail and he can have a sweep victory like that? But no, it's 21st century and things are all getting on social media. Nothing can be hidden from the people and from the world's attention. Whatever is happening inside, everybody's aware of that now.
That is so true. Farah, can you hear me properly now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, look, because in my last question I was just saying there were 4 state chief ministers against whom cases have been opened by the current BJP government. The entire top leadership of AAP, of which Arvind Kejriwal is the head, is in jail, including his number 2 Manish Sirsodia, and also Jharkhand state chief minister Hemant Soren had been arrested just in February this year on corruption charges. That is what I was trying to say when you couldn't hear me. Now adding to that, it's not just the political opponents, all those critics or anybody who's trying to point a finger at the way the whole electoral process is moving on is being silenced. Now the CBI, this is the Central Bureau of Investigation in India, in February raided the residence of former bureaucrat Harsh Mandar and the office of a think tank in New Delhi, alleging financial irregularities under the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Why? Because he has been a fierce critic of the Modi's government supremacist agenda since the BJP came into power in 2014. He is just in a long list, and you know about that, of critics and opponents who have faced raids or arrest from federal agencies in recent weeks. Do such tactics succeed in Indian politics?
Oh, well, I think they cannot succeed if we look into it in a broader context. But At the moment, what we can see in India is one-man dictatorship, and that is Prime Minister Modi. And he is showing his power in such a way that whoever he finds as a fierce critic of his political leadership or his position, or somebody who can get into his political campaign and the election process, he's putting them in jail or torturing them or putting charges of corruption on them, or whatever ways, like harassment, bullying, all these things are being common these days in India. So whatever the financial institutions they are coming up with, it is not justified under a democratic country like India, but under a dictatorship, Prime Minister Modi can do anything he wants to. He can put anybody in jail. Nobody can question him because he is powerful. And secondly, as I mentioned in the beginning, he is still to win the next election. So that makes him more kind of, feeling that, okay, I am getting in power. Nobody can question me. I'm the one who is more popular in the country. I'll do whatever I want to. But this is not, he has to understand, if he wants to take 1.44 billion people together, he has to listen to the will, to the wishes, and to the critics of those people as well. He can't do things by his own. He cannot decide things the way he wants to. He has to take the entire league together. Otherwise, it will lead towards problems within, and this is how things are now coming up, and international community is picking up the issue of Arvind. So this will take further, and probably a pressure will come on India in times to come.
All right, stay online with us, Farah. Naveed Saab, let's talk about the Financial Crimes Agency, the Enforcement Directorate that arrested Arvind Kejriwal, but also other opposition leaders like Tejashwari Yadav, the former Deputy Chief Minister of neighbouring Bihar, have also been raided by federal agencies in recent months. Then there is the central Chhattisgarh state, where the Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel and his associates were picked up by the officials right before the elections last November. The BJP accused them of multiple scams, including an illegal coal mining deal, and used the charges as a major plan to win the state polls at that time. Is this situation politically paralyzing the whole country that we call India, as claimed by the opposition parties? Because this is what all the opposition parties, including the Congress, including the AAP party, claim. Will the BJP get away with it this time as well?
The allegations of different political opponent parties are very important. They are saying so. It is true. What is their claim is a true claim. The most important thing is this: Modi has leveled corruption charges on Kejriwal and other chief ministers as well. Kejriwal and the others are not involved in any sort of scandal, corruption scandal, or any embezzlement. Rather, Modi himself is facing that money laundering or foreign funding case, or in within the land funding cases against him. So because he is afraid of opening such cases against him, because the different different six states FIRs are registered against Modi in corruption cases. But the corruption cases, FIRs registered against Kejriwal and the other chief ministers, are fabricated. That is why the West, Germany and America, has raised their voices. Against this sort of treatment of Modi against very prominent leaders of different states of India. It has really exposed Modi for the first time as a corrupt leader. In past, he has been known as a fascist leader, extremist leader, a leader who spread hatred and who believes in hatred and polarization. But now this has added to his credentials. This is a negative point of BJP's politics and the candidate which is leading BJP in the forthcoming elections.
All right, Naveed Saab, also in March last year, 2023, a group of opposition parties petitioned in the Indian Supreme Court, saying that there was a clear pattern of using investigative agencies to target, deliberate, and in fact crush the entire political opposition and other vocal citizens. This petition had noted that since 2014, that is the first time Narendra Modi came into power, 95% of the cases taken up by the CBI and the ED have been against politicians from the opposition, which is a 60% and a 54% rise. but the Supreme Court refused to rule on the petition, noting that politicians should not be placed on a pedestal higher than the citizens. Do you feel in this, this is a rise of a fascist state under Narendra Modi, and do you feel also that the judiciary is doing very little or hardly anything to protect the rights and liberties of the citizens?
Definitely. India is so-called a democratic state, but it is not a democratic state. It has become a fascist state, and Modi has made this state a fascist state. And he is pressurizing or influencing every department, like judiciary as well. The judiciary has done a very small effort in this regard. It should have done fairly. I mean, the results of the judiciary should have been very fair and should not be fabricated or engineered. The most important thing is this, that Modi is going in the elections pre-poll with pre-poll rigging. I mean, this is an act of pre-poll rigging. He has already managed everything, and the entire international community and the entire world has a very open eye on Indian elections, and they will raise a very big question mark on the conduct of these parliamentary elections, which are going to be held in the next month.
In next month. Okay. Last question to you, Farah, on this topic, but I want a very, very short answer. India's opposition says that the government has frozen its bank accounts and has left it with no money to fight the heavily funded ruling party in marathon general elections that begin in April. They say our entire financial identity has been erased. This is a quote by Rahul Gandhi. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I think many critics, they are calling the Indian politics of today as a washing machine politics, where whatever Modi wants to do, he can just do it and then wash away by the judiciary and by all the institutions. So freezing of the assets, putting people in the jail and arresting them, harassing them, this is part and parcel of what he's trying to do. And I think he's pretty much successful in that. Nobody is able, to defeat him at this point in time. And I would say that in the current election, we can clearly see that he is coming up despite so many odds. But things like this, he was till now he was picking up fights with the Muslim community, in particular the Kashmiris in general, but now he's picking fights with his own people, like people from Bengal, people from Delhi, people like his own leadership position. I'm not saying his political parties, but the opposition political parties. So probably this will dent his position in times to come, and he has to realize it, that he cannot pick fight at one time with everyone, otherwise he will have to pay and face the repercussions.
All right. Kindly stay online with us. Thank you so very much, Naveed Aman Khan Sahab, to have discussed Indian politics and the designs by Narendra Modi to continue to stay in power and to crush all the opposition through coercive designs. Thank you very much to have come all the way. Pleasure to have you here. Let's begin with our second story, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns day 174 of the conflict, the war, the genocide, the ethnic cleansing between Israel and Palestine. The barbaric activities that have been continuing, the violence that has been continuing since the last 174 days, unabated since the 7th of October last year. The fact is also that despite the United Nations Security Council resolution on the cessation of these activities, at least during the holy month of Ramadan, and the aid properly arriving to the people, nothing of the sort has happened in reality. Israel is not complying with the United Nations Security Council resolutions. This and more is going to be discussed in our second story. We'll continue to be joined by Dr. Farah. Farah, the number of people killed in Israel's war on Gaza since the 7th of October is now 32,552. 74,980 people have been injured. Over the last 24 hours, 62 people killed, 91 wounded. At least 3 were killed and 20 wounded in a raid in a home in a neighborhood of Gaza City. Is this what Israel wants, ethnic cleansing?
Right from the beginning, when this war began in October, we were talking about what is the larger plan, what Israel wished to do in this part of the world that happens to be unarmed people, the people of Palestine in Gaza. I think the goal is, my personal opinion, I think the goal is beyond what we can see now. It's not only, to crush them. It's just to clean the territory from all the Palestinians, because they are, as I said in the previous G20 meeting, they came up with an alternative route which will connect India to the waters in the Middle East. And the point where it connects is that's the something that is closer to the Gaza. So they want to, the ultimate threat that they could see in that part of the world was Gaza, and from Gaza it was Hamas. So they wanted to first clean that area, and after that they can easily implement that route and they can have all the trade. And with that, they will affect Egypt as well, because the Suez Canal will become a secondary route to that, because this will become the primary route for having access to all the trade through this route. So this was something that probably was their plan and they wanted to do it, but they never knew what will be the outcome of such kind of butchery that they are conducting in Gaza at the moment, where their target is, if we can look into the numbers that you just stated, around 32,000 people have died so far, more than 74,000 people have been wounded, and among all of those, the target is women and children. So what they're trying to do by killing women and children over there, probably they are disrupting their entire generations, because to the children, the generations are going up, and women are the source of producing the generations forward. So they want to take away the generation source from them. They're killing everybody, and in that way, they will clean the area, and then they will get rid of the people of the Gaza. They will rebuild it, and they bring people of their own choice over there. So, but as I said, in the process, they never realize what will be the consequences of such kind of genocide, butchery, or war situation that is prevailing in Gaza at the moment. I was amazed and surprised to hear about that many in the Western countries, many young girls and boys, they are converted into Islam, not in their passion and love for Islam, but is in a protest that why are all these Western countries supporting Israel in the war in Gaza, where unarmed people are killed and they are tortured and they are exposed to such kind of famine and unrest, where everybody is demanding that we need to have humanitarian rights and positions to be implemented in Gaza, but nothing is happening. Human rights have gone to the bin when we talk about Gaza. So this conversion is just the beginning. It's a new era of protest of all the youth and youngsters who realize what is actually happening in Gaza at the moment, and what is the wish list of all those Western countries who are supporting a country, a Zionist or a racist country like Israel at the moment. So these things are absolutely new, and I think if the people who sacrifice their lives in terms of taking all the bombs and the bullets, I think with time things will be changed, and the world is now realizing who is wrong and who is right at the moment.
All right. Also, Farah, I'd like to understand the situation, the dire situation that is present as far as the Palestinian hospitals are concerned. There is a 10-day siege that is going on in the Al-Shifa hospital, in which the Israelis claim that they have killed 200 quote-unquote fighters, which include, I'm sure, maximum of civilians, and also includes at least 13 children that have been killed. As far as other hospitals are concerned, I've talked about Al-Shifa, then there's the Al-Amal hospital in the southern Khan Yunus, where the Israelis have dumped dirt and have told them that you cannot, admit anybody here or work in any capacity here. Then the European Gaza hospital in Khan Yunus has been, where the conditions they are described as unimaginable and beyond comprehension. Why is Israel, even if for 1 second we say that their intention is to rid Palestine of what they call extremist elements, but then why eliminate all means of sustenance, including the health that that is a necessity for any and every person in any part of the world, including Palestine?
Well, by even asking this question, I feel like you're very naive in that way. They are at first place killing everyone over there, irrespective of if you are an infant who has no a problem with them. They are killing everybody. So why will they leave a facility or an area through which they can go back and get and seek all those medical services. That's why hospitals are also at the point of concern for Israeli troops and for Israeli government under Netanyahu. And they are trying to target like Al Shifa that you talked about, Khan Yunis, and then even the refugee camps are also not safe. You just give me an example of which area is safe in Gaza at the moment. And if you would remember, like when this conflict began at first place, so Israel was asking the people in Gaza that you have to move to this part of Gaza so we can bombard or we can, target the Hamas people. And whenever they moved those people and took shelter and refuge in those areas, there was bombing going on in that area as well. So this means they are targeting everyone, irrespective of who you are, what is your age bracket. And if it happens to be a woman and child, I think this is a token for them because they want to target them the most. But this, as I said, it shows the hypocrite nature of the Western countries where they are standing and demanding human rights, women rights, children protection, because these are always and always so-called something at the heart of Western countries, because they say in war situation women and children should be protected first. They always believe, and it is something that we have been reading about and talking about, that women and children first when it comes to rescuing. So in Gaza, it's the other way around, women and children first in terms of bullets and bombs. So this is where I can see, and I'm saying it, that the youngsters in the Western countries, they are realizing how hypocrite their systems are, where at one point they talk about all those notions of democracy that needs to be implemented in letter and spirit, but when it comes to they themselves implementing, they do not abide by the rules and regulations. The United Nations, when Antonio Guterres recently paid a visit, he was very devastated with the situation, and he said this ceasefire needs to be implemented on emergency basis. What happened to the ceasefire? They simply demanded that the ceasefire is going to be implemented during the month of Ramadan. How many days in Ramadan are left? In the entire 17, 18 days of the Ramadan, there was still bombing going on. Even when the dialogue was taking place to have ceasefire, they were bombing people in Gaza. So I think this is not solution to the problem. The only solution to the problem is that they should go back and they should implement all those norms, regulations that they have given to the world, that these are the rules, if you want to live in the international system, you have to abide by these certain standards that we have made for you. We will also abide by those. Unless and until they don't do it, they're not realizing it will have long-term implications. And I can see the frustration and the polarization among the people of these Western countries and their leadership as well, because they do not trust them anymore. They are telling them and demanding them that you have to go back. The other day, there was some kind of scholarship rally going on, and some groups from Tel Aviv, they were presenting it. And to my surprise, they were literally kicked away. And the university students said, you don't belong here. Go and give freedom of speech, right, liberty, and all those things to the people in Gaza and stop the genocide in Gaza. Bring ceasefire. And they were not allowed even to speak a single word. These are all new concepts that are emerging. So the youth, that is becoming more polarized. The issue of trust is becoming a question in the Western world. So how they can go about it? Probably that's the reason in the recent ceasefire, America tried to stand and support with the ceasefire. And with that, Tel Aviv was very upset with Washington on that. And it canceled their Washington's even meeting, which was something not expected. And Tel Aviv was expecting Washington to stand and support Israel in whatever situation. But probably America cannot stand against its own people where they are heading to elections at this stage. So things are becoming very tricky now. And I think they have to listen to their own people for now. Otherwise, the result will be very worse for them in times to come.
All right. Farah, there are different concepts. I think the Israeli concept is to kill, and kill, and as many as possible, and just complete the Gaza or Palestine or any other part of Palestine from what they call, I don't want to use the word, but insects or such terms that have been used in the very recent past. Now, speaking of some facts and figures, 14,000 plus children have been killed by the attacks of Israel in Gaza. Then Palestinian journalist, a recent Palestinian journalist who has been killed, adds to the almost 100 Palestinian journalists who have been killed in Israeli attacks since the 7th of October. Then there's one very important incident that happened. 2 Palestinian men were shot at close range near the Nabulsi roundabout southwest of Gaza City. They were returning to their homes in the north, and they showed a white cloth as a sign of peace, that we are not here, we are not trying to shoot at you, we are not trying to do anything. Despite that, they were shot at and killed, and then with bulldozers, a lot of pile of rubble and sand was placed on their dead bodies. Isn't this, in your point of view, evidence of a further scale of criminality, of war crimes, of fascism that governs the Zionist behavior in this brutal war of extermination against Palestinians?
I think this war has crossed all those thresholds of war, conflict, like even if we say revenge even. This is something different that we have ever experienced. The world has witnessed World War I, World War II, the Cold War, even wars between states as well. But this is something new to the entire world, where even the UN has become irrelevant, where the people of the United Nations organization and its entities, they are also getting targeted. Those who want to provide humanitarian assistance to the people who are dying of hunger, they need medicine, they need all the basic necessities of life. They're also not allowed to provide all those necessities. And I seriously doubt that whatever fundings we all are providing from various parts of the world, I don't see they reaching out to the people in Gaza, because we can see they are only limited to, like in the month of Ramadan, where everybody is distributing food, and it's something that is spiritual in ways and means. The people in Gaza, they are relying on grass, soup, and lemon. Can anybody just take that? Is this humanity has gone this low? And even they are, like, when we talk about famine and all of that, there are statements coming up that we will kill them by even staying hungry. They're doing it. Everybody is aware of that. We can see the bodies of the children, of the people, they are beyond their exact age, because this is their bodies, they are getting weaker with every passing day. They are not getting the ample amount of food and water. What sort of war is it? What sort of revenge is it? They are, even without bullets, they will be dying, because if it continues like this, nobody can survive for a longer period without food and water and without the basic medicines. Even children, they cannot survive like that. Even like we could see that every day there was some news coming up that a woman in Gaza is giving birth, and the way she's giving birth, I think she would prefer to die than to give birth in that situation, where she is not sure of what will be happening to her child, where she is not able to provide milk to her child, which is the basic thing for any baby to have once a baby is born. She don't know what will be the situation if the baby is in some kind of trouble. We have seen the situation in the hospitals in Gaza. We have seen Al-Shifa. We have seen all other hospitals. Everything has gone beyond the level of humanity. And how low can human being go to this level, where they are targeting them on the basis of something that they are probably in Gaza, so that's why they should pay the price, where they have never supported Hamas. They can go and if they want to. I believe Israel has the strongest intelligence. They have the strongest system. They have the strongest influence in the international system. They can go and find out Hamas and its leadership and its all affiliates without even killing these people. But to me, I think it's beyond that. The major objective is to kill everybody. And even if you don't want to use bombs, kill them without food, kill them without water. It will be easy for them to win the war that way. But winning this war probably they will have to pay a heavy price in times to come. This is what I can see from now, that things are changing. Even within the Jewish community, there is a resistance where Netanyahu is taken as something, a fundamentalist, an extremist, or a fascist kind of leader who is taking all of this. It's exactly something that we can see, this pattern we can see in India as well. So the same kind of things are happening over here, where Netanyahu is imposing his own will on the entire Jewish community and doing whatever he wants to do in Gaza. So this is not acceptable. Probably the Jewish will also be they are standing against the Netanyahu leadership, and he's becoming less popular in Israel for now. Maybe with time they will do something against him because they are not happy with the situation. They cannot accept whatever he and his leadership they are doing with the Palestinians in Gaza.
All right, Dr. Farah, thank you very much to have joined us. Dr. Farah Naz, foreign affairs expert, joining us, discussing, of course, the day 174 of the conflict between Israel and Palestine, which shows no signs of abating, despite the fact that the United Nations Security Council resolution has been passed that pushes Israel to not only apply ceasefire at least till the holy month of Ramadan, but also supply the people in Palestine who are in dire need of food and water and medical supplies with the aid that is requisite, that is required. But nothing of that is happening, and the people continue to be killed, to be butchered, and the children and the women continue to die of starvation, of dehydration, and the lack of medicine. And this situation is one of the worst, as Dr. Farah has also said, in human history of this very century. I don't know what is going to happen in the next coming days. Will some respite come? Will there be some light at the end of the tunnel? But these are questions that only will be answered when they actually happen. Thank you very much, Dr. Farah, to have joined us. Let's come to our last two stories. The first concerns climate change and how it is messing with how we measure time. Now, 27 leap seconds have been added to the universal TC since 1972, the last coming in 2016. In recent years, a new problem has emerged that few saw coming. Earth's rotation has been speeding up, and this is overtaking atomic time. This means that to bring the two measurements in sync, timekeepers have to introduce the first ever negative leap second. This, a lot of scientists say, has never happened before. It's a major challenge to make sure that all parts of the global timing infrastructure show the same time. Many computer programs for leap seconds also assume that they are positive, so these will have to be rewritten. But starting from 1990, melting ice in Greenland and Antarctica has slowed down the Earth's rotation. This has delayed the need for a negative leap second until at least 2029. What happens in the next couple of years? Will there be again some small seconds that will be changed, added, or decreased? Only time will tell. But of course, the research is going to prompt the world's timekeepers to consider dropping the leap second sooner than 2035. We will be waiting for that. Let's come to our last story, and that concerns a Japanese moon probe that has survived its second lunar night and has woken up. Unlike the intuitive machine spaceship Odysseus that had also that had also landed on the moon, but could not be initialized. So of course the whole mission was declared dead. But this mission apparently has been revived because the pictures have been sent by this Japanese moon port. This unnamed smart lander for investigating moon probe touched down in January, making Japan only the 5th nation to reach the lunar surface without crashing. The Japanese agency has termed this as the moon sniper for its precision landing technology, and of course it will be doing different researches as far as the moon is concerned. All the best for the Japanese. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with news story segments that pertain to us. You and Pakistan, stay safe. Allah Hafiz.